Now, basically, health, on which I'm going to speak today, is a very holistic term, comprising not only of physical fitness, but also emotional and mental well-being. As you can see over here in this figure, health is associated with several things. We can see a person doing yoga or meditation over here. Another person, we can see another person who is sleeping. It is also associated with nutrition and good health, exercising. So all these are the various parameters which are related to good health. Now I will be primarily focusing on nutrition. Ma'am, I think there is some obstruction on the screen. Dr. Saad? Yes. Dr. Saad, can you see there's some disturbance?
It's okay.
On this?
You can stop it, Dr. Fatima, and remove it.
Okay.
If this scratch make any noise for you, you can delete this. Undo the PowerPoint. Undo icon on PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay, anyways, ma'am, I'm just continuing with the presentation.
You can close it without saving and then open it again. Close the PowerPoint without saving. Save it.
Okay, I'll just stop the share and start again.
Yes.
Sure.
Without saving, then open again.
Yes.
Okay. No problem.
Yes, ma'am. Is it okay now?
Yes, sure. So nice.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So I will basically be taking you all for a very short journey with COVID-19 from the past to the present and into the future. So looking at the past, we are all aware of the fact that the inception of COVID-19, that is coronavirus-induced disease 19, was in Wuhan in China. And from there, the disease spread worldwide, resulting in a global pandemic. Now, by now, we all know that COVID-19 is caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, that is a severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. And if you just look at the structure, I'll just give you a brief insight into the structure. It is primarily spherical in shape, and it comprises of several proteins like the membrane proteins, the spike glycoproteins, the hemagglutinin esterase, and the envelope proteins. And the genomic content is composed of actually single-stranded RNA. The receptor to which this virus binds is ACE2, denoting angiotensin converting enzyme 2. And why am I calling it a double-edged sword over here is because of the fact that it has got both good as well as bad impacts on the host. Another term which we all have come across by now is the R0 value, which is the average number of people that one person with COVID-19 infects, and that is approximately between 2 to 2.5. So ranging from the elderly to the youngsters, everybody knows the preventive measures which we need to take to be in good health. But I would just like to brush up 7 golden rules in order to keep this disease at bay. So here, I'll just give a brief overview. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose. Cover your cough with the bend of the elbow or tissue. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home if you're feeling unwell. If you have a fever or difficulty in breathing, please consult a medical practitioner and stay aware of the latest information from the World Health Organization. So these are basically the 7 golden rules. So what we can basically do at present is eat healthy, stay home, and stay safe. Immunity boosting nutrition will help to protect the individual. So here there are 2 things which we can do. What can an individual do and what can an individual contribute to the community's health? So first of all, he should focus on immunity boosting nutrition to maintain himself in good health, and in order to ensure the safety of the community, he should stay at home. And if he is going out, he should follow social distancing. So these are the two things which we really need to follow in order to keep the disease at bay. So here are a few tips, some nutritional advices for adults during this COVID-19 pandemic. We all need to consume a very good balanced diet comprising of vitamins, minerals, proteins, antioxidants, and dietary fibers, not only to fight against COVID-19, but also against the various infectious diseases and chronic ailments. These are the guidelines laid down by the World Health Organization. So, I would now like to give a brief overview of the dietary constituents that boost the immune system. They comprise of macronutrients, micronutrients, and the phytochemicals. As far as the macronutrients are concerned, as the name itself suggests, macro meaning large. So these are the nutrients which need to be present in the diet in large amounts. They comprise of proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and the dietary fibers. Next, coming to the micronutrients, they are actually required in very small, minute amounts in our diet. And they include the vitamins, which are A, B, C, D, E types, and the minerals, which include zinc, iron, copper, selenium. Just some of them are shown over here. And lastly, the phytochemicals. Actually, phytochemicals refers to those bioactive compounds which are present in plants. They include the polyphenols and the carotenoids. So, what I will be basically doing is I will be discussing the role of some of these essential nutrients in boosting the immune system in fighting against this COVID-19 disease. So, coming to the macronutrients, as I just mentioned in the previous slide, they comprise of proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. So, proteins, they're present in the diet, and once they go into the body, they're metabolized and they're broken down into amino acids. And these amino acids basically serve as the building blocks for antibodies as well as the complement proteins. Next, coming to the lipids. The diet should be enriched in omega-3 fatty acids, and it should be devoid of, or you should go for a bare minimum consumption of omega-6 fatty acids. Why? Because omega-3 fatty acids coming to the carbohydrates and the dietary fibers. The dietary fibers refer to those carbohydrates which largely remain undigested. So these dietary fibers have a prebiotic effect in the sense that they foster the growth of good bacteria like bifidobacterium and they inhibit the growth of bad bacteria like the Clostridium. So, considering the fact that COVID-19 is just no longer a respiratory ailment, it is also associated with gastrointestinal disturbances, including these dietary fibers and carbohydrates would definitely benefit the host. Next, coming to the micronutrients. I will be discussing just a couple of vitamins, vitamin A, C, and D. Now, vitamin A, it helps in maintaining the lining of the respiratory and the gastrointestinal tract to protect the body against infection. Some of the rich sources of vitamin A include orange vegetables like carrots and leafy green vegetables like spinach. Next, coming to vitamin C. It is, as we all know, a very good classical antioxidant, and it has a very wide-ranging impact on the immune system activity, including the activity of T lymphocytes and phagocytes. We are all aware of the fact that vitamin C is largely present in citrus fruits. And finally, vitamin D. It regulates both the innate as well as the adaptive immune system so as to destroy the pathogens. So milk, fish, egg, all these are rich sources of vitamin D. Vitamin D is also synthesized in the body upon exposure to sunlight. So these are some of the publications which highlight the role of vitamin D in preventing COVID-19. I am going to do, like what I'm supposed to do right now is, in the next two slides, I'm just going to summarize the results from these publications. So vitamin D, how does this vitamin reduce the risk of microbial infections? The threefold or the tripartite role is shown over here in this particular slide. The first one is showing a physical barrier in the sense that viruses and other microbes, they normally try to destroy the integrity of these epithelial cells and they try to enter the host cell to cause the disease. So basically, this vitamin D, it helps to maintain the integrity of these tight junctions. Next, as far as the innate immunity is concerned, vitamin D, basically, it results in an increase in the production of antimicrobial peptides like catalysidins and defensins. And as far as the adaptive immunity is concerned, vitamin D results in a decrease in the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines produced by the T helper 1 cells and an increase in the production of the anti-inflammatory cytokines produced by the T helper 2 cells. Next, there was another very interesting report which I came across, which correlates vitamin D to COVID-19 and the latitude effect. Now, as we can see over here, the countries in the northern hemisphere, they are experiencing a large number of cases and mortality due to COVID-19. One of the causes which has been hypothesized in this particular paper was that most of the northern hemisphere countries are entering spring and very soon will be in winter. Over there, winter is obviously associated with less sunlight, and less sunlight results in a lower vitamin D level, increase in COVID-19 cases. Whereas the southern hemisphere countries which are entering autumn, over there is an associated high amount of vitamin D in the blood levels. And this is resulting in a lower number of COVID-19 cases and fatality. Now, as I just mentioned, phytochemicals also have a very crucial role to play. Among the phytochemicals, I'll be focusing mainly on the polyphenols. And among the polyphenols, curcumin is one of the most renowned bioactive compounds, which is present in turmeric. Turmeric, which is actually a part and parcel of the Indian cuisine. It is commonly used in cooking. So here also we find that there are a number of publications highlighting the role of curcumin in preventing this particular disease. So how does this curcumin in association with zinc have a therapeutic effect against COVID-19? As I just mentioned, zinc was a mineral. It is a micronutrient. So just if you look at this particular slide, curcumin binds to the ACE2 receptor and it can also bind to the receptor binding domain of the COVID virus. So what it does is basically it prevents the entry of the SARS-CoV-2 virus into the target cell at the very first step. This slide is basically showing the entire replication cycle of the SARS-CoV-2 virus right from its beginning, binding, then followed by replication, transcription, translation, assembly, and release of the virus. So as we can see, highlighted in yellow is the binding site of curcumin. It will prevent the binding of the virus. And zinc, it inhibits the viral replication. What it does is it prevents or inhibits the subsequent transcription and the translational processes. So including curcumin and zinc supplements in the diet can have a very good beneficial role against COVID-19. So finally, what lies in store for us in the future? I would like to highlight the fact that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So there is a ray of hope for the future. We can always hope, considering the fact that the large number of research which is going on worldwide, we'll have a vaccine very soon for the particular disease. Another possibility is that of herd immunity, where we can expect a large proportion of the population to become immune or resistant to this particular disease. And last but not the least, we can learn to live with it. What do I mean to say learn to live with it? It can just become a part and parcel of our normal lives, just as we have accepted malaria, dengue, influenza as a normal part of our lives, COVID may also become just a normal part of our lives. So, I would like to end on a very positive note that life will be beautiful if you know what to ignore. As we can see in this particular cartoon, the art of knowing is knowing what to ignore. Considering the fact that there's so much of fake news on social media, it would be really beneficial if we would just focus on the facts and ignore the fake news. I would like to thank all of you for your kind attention, and especially all the doctors and the medical practitioners who are truly the ground heroes in this pandemic situation. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatema, for this interesting lecture. I enjoyed it so much. And I am happy because I know that traditional spices and in India and in Egypt we use it regularly in cooking. So I believe it have a very important role to immune system to our health. So I would like to thank you so much. And if any person or any participant have any questions, I would like to receive it in chat room, and I will tell Dr. Fatema about the questions. So please write your questions in the chat, and I will read it for you. Okay?
Yes.
Doctor.
Ma'am, I think there's a question from Dr. Hayam Nazief. I think he's raising his hand. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Can you accept it?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much for very nice and clear presentation. I am wondering, have you published yourself in this area?
Not at the present, but actually during my PhD, I was working on a different aspect in the National Institute of Cholera and Enteric Diseases. So basically, this field really fascinates me a lot. The effect of probiotics on the gut microbiota, it really fascinates me. The role of nutrients, the beneficial role of nutrients. So it was at that time which I had published, but right now in the COVID-19 scenario, not really.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. By the way, also I just evaluate two papers, and I recommended both to be published in the same area, and I was strongly recommended them because we must think really to be back to nature.
Exactly. I firmly believe that nature has some miraculous clues which need to be tapped. There is a lot of hidden potential.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Fatema. I would like to share that we're planning to cooperate soon about COVID-19 project. So Dr. Fatema is an expert in this point, and I know that you have a lot of publication about microbiology and malaria. So I'm so happy being you with us today. So we have a 5-minute break till the next speaker join us, Dr. Atreyi. So I will share his biography till she preparing her slides. Dr. Atreyi, are you here with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, may I ask you to prepare your presentation?
Yeah, ma'am, I have already sent my presentation,
okay,
and I can present from my screen as well.
Okay, if you can share it in your screens, okay. if you face any problem, I can share it from my side. Okay.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. I can share it from my screen. That is no problem.
Okay, so I would like to introduce Dr. Atreyi from Assistant Professor in Department of Microbiology, Biotechnology at Nivedita University, Kolkata. And she had her PhD in the field of environmental biotechnology from Indian Institute of Technology. She continued her research at Northeast Hill University. And her research area is focused on study of microbial biodegradation of pollutant and the effect of pollutant on human cell line. Assistant Nivedita University is teaching the industrial microbiology and microbiology, eukaryotics, diversity, ecology, evaluation, and recombinant DNA technology. So I will stop sharing my screen now to allow you to share your screen. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
If any audience or participant have a question, Dr. Fatima, we may ask her to answer after the presentation of Dr. Itfir. Dr. Fatima, please stay with us till you can answer all questions, please. So let's start, Dr. Itfir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, namaskar, and maybe good morning to all of you over there in Egypt, and good afternoon, all of us over there in India. And myself, Dr. Atreyi Ghosh. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Microbiology and Biotechnology, the Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata, India. And I am very much thankful to Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, JSPS, and my university, Sister Nivedita University, in collaboration with whom I am able today to present my talk over here. And I'm very much thankful to Dr. Walaa Saad Hanafi ma'am for choosing me as a guest lecturer for this symposium. Now, today my topic is the impact of COVID-19 on the environment. Now, we all know that COVID-19 pandemic situation started in the early January and the late December of last year, early January this year, in the city of Wuhan from China. And it spread all over the world throughout this past 4 months. And in this slide, I have shown the spread and the death toll of COVID-19. It was shown all over the world. And in this diagram, you can see the death toll as on 10th of April 2020. Now, due to this pandemic situation, all the countries had to shut down their air bases. The international aviation, road and off-road transportation were totally shut down, and almost every country, mainly the developed countries and the developing countries, were forced to declare lockdown. So that caused the pause in the industrial production and the pause in the generation of xenobiotic substances. Now, the xenobiotic substances are the the compounds which are man-made, which are synthetically produced, which can harm our environment by any means. And there was also drastic fall off in the core business in the global scale. Now, this was the situation all over the world, in the developed countries and the developing countries as well. India was one of them, of course. So, this era, which is known as Anthropocene epoch, is affected a lot by COVID-19 situation, especially the lockdown situation. And also our environment has been affected in many ways. This COVID-19 situation has an impact on the air quality, water quality, noise pollution, and which has led to the impact on climate change, global climate change, and the biodiversity conservation. Now, I'm going to focus on both the aspects of the environmental changes or the environmental impact of COVID-19 situation. There are positive impacts like due to the lockdown situation, all the transportation was blocked, which has caused the reduced fossil fuel consumption, which the world maybe have faced only due to the economic breakdown during 2008 2009, but not in last maybe 100 years. Then due to this lockdown situation, due to the very much reduced use of fossil fuel, the emission of greenhouse gases, which are namely nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, these gases were very much low, found to be low in the atmosphere. And also the reduction of particulate matter 2.5 and 10, they were very much low, along with the lowering of AOD. AOD is aerosol optical density, which is also a measure of the uh, pollutants present in the atmosphere, which has led to the improvement in the air quality index, that is AQI. Similarly, the COVID-19 lockdown situation has some positive effect on the condition of water quality. Reduced industrial emission happened due to the shutdown of all the industries which are producing harmful chemicals, and maybe they are ejecting all the harmful chemicals in the river water and sea water. And the COD level, COD is chemical oxygen demand, BOD level, that is the biological oxygen demand, the TDS, that is the total dissolved solid, were reduced in the water, which causes pollution. And DO, that is the dissolved oxygen, which which is the measurement of the dissolved oxygen concentration in the water, were increased. Finally, the water quality of all the water bodies were improved. That is the increase in the WQI, water quality index. But due to the COVID-19 situation, we have some negative impacts also on our environment. What are those? Namely, the increase in the generation of medical waste. Now, due to the uh, viral infection, all the hospitals in every city is occupied, and many beds have been allotted for the COVID patients, which has uh, increased the occupancy of hospital beds and hospital facility. And also side by side, the waste recycling industries are closed. So that is why because of these two situations, the waste generation is much more higher than before. So this has caused more water pollution than before, more and unpredictable water pollution and soil pollution as well. So that is why many countries like China and US, they have started some extra care of the wastewater treatment, and they have started some strengthening policies in the wastewater treatment, keeping in mind the hospital waste mainly and the domestic waste coming out of the cities and mixing in the nearby river or any water body. So in cities like China and US, they have declared with the help of, they are following the policies of WHO to increase the wastewater treatment uh, processes rigorously, mainly the primary and the secondary treatment processes with chlorination and ultraviolet ray. Now, for other SARS-CoV virus, those are discovered before COVID-19. They were found to be killed by chlorination, which are uh, used in the concentration zero point 0.5 mg per liter left over after 30 minutes of application and in the pH lower than 8. So this chlorination is a successful disinfection. So that is being used worldwide now. And there are researches which are going on for the non-infective viral fragments in the wastewater system. Right now, there is no report of viral leftover survival of viruses, SARS-CoV-2, in the drinking water system or wastewater system. But the researches are still going on. So this report was taken from WHO website. Now here I have shown some satellite photographs which were captured by ESA, that is European Space Agency, in China in earlier the lockdown period, that is 1st to 20th of January this year. The photograph shows that in the Beijing and the nearby region, the nitrogen dioxide troposphere density measured in micromole per centimeter per meter square was very high compared to the during the lockdown period, that is the February 10th to 25th. It's almost clear by 1 month of span. So the lockdown had resulted almost the elimination of nitrogen dioxide, which is a component of PM 2.5 in atmosphere, and it also causes acid rain, and it causes many respiratory dysfunctions in human being. Now, the same kind of pictures were caught in the areas of Europe. Uh, Here, France is shown where the nitrogen dioxide tropospheric column was uh, very high. It was around 160 in March 2019, and in 2020 March, it has almost disappeared. It has come down to 20 micromole per meter square. So there is a huge difference. It has come down to almost 25% of what was there before in the March 2019. So here also the same picture we are getting. Now in India, uh, this is also the satellite picture got by ESA. The AOD, that is the aerosol optical density, was found to be reduced compared uh, to 2019 situation and 2020 situation. Here you can see that in the uh, eastern part and the northern part had much more aerosol density, but in the 2020 during the lockdown situation, it has reduced a lot. It has reached up to 0.1 below the permissible limit. Another photograph which shows that the particulate matter 2.5 levels have also decreased in India. Here, the northern part of India has been shown where our capital Delhi is there, where the pollution rate is highest in India. In the same publication, there was one study which was undertaken in the city of Ghaziabad, which is very near to Delhi, where the levels of PM 2.5, 10, nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide, those which are the measures of air pollution, were plotted, and it is clearly shown that all the pollutants, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, PM 2.5 and 10 have reduced in 2020 compared to 2019. And here I have shown one publication, the result of one publication where a water body which is known as Vimbanad Lake, which is situated in the Karnataka state of India, which has shown very much reduced suspended particulate matter, that is SPM, during the lockdown. So there are results taken from 28th of February, 15th of March, 31st March, and 16th of April. Within the 15 days gap, the condition of the lake has been improved and the water finally was totally visible because of the lower concentration of the suspended particulate matter. So this is the condition of almost all the main rivers in India, like Ganges, like Kaveri, like Yamuna. In all the rivers, people have reported that the water was visible on the surface and the the aquatic animals were also visible because of the decreased release of the pollutants from the cities, industries, and the decreased level of suspended particulate matter. Now, because of the changes in the air quality and the water quality, there is an impact, there is a visible impact in the climate change, the global climate change, and also in the biodiversity. Now, the decarbonization is the only solution of the climate change, which United Nations has already forecasted. Now, due to the lockdown situation in all the megacities of all over the world, have seen the reduction of GHG, that is the greenhouse gases, and PM, which leads to the decarbonization. The decarbonization means the reduced use of fossil fuel, these fossil fuels, so that the generation of carbon dioxide is less. So because of the transportation shutdown, the use of fossil fuel was very much minimum. That is why the decarbonization rate was higher, and which has led to the positive impact on the climate change globally. Also, the biodiversity has been reported to be improved in many places because of the lockdown. Especially the animals are getting more habitat to breed and more habitat to get their food. So the problem of loss of habitat was temporarily withdrawn for them, so that the biodiversity was much stabilized. And also there are reports to uh, for the marine lives to be observable or visible because of the reduced SPM level in the water bodies. So that is also a change in the biodiversity. So the marine lives are also secured and they are breeding properly during the lockdown period. Now, the conclusion can be drawn that due to the shutdown, the local environment has been improved. Maybe it is temporary, but definitely it has improved due to the decarbonization and other facts which have been discussed in my previous slides. Now, local environment means the global and also the local environment. Both have improved a lot. But the long-term impacts of the water quality, air quality, and all other positive impact has to be examined. The researchers are they are also in trouble in this pandemic situation. That is why the researches have been disrupted. So we have to wait for the researchers and the faculties to come over and research about this topic, that what is the long-term effect of the COVID-19 situation on environment. So what is our learning from the environmental effect of COVID-19? So UNEP, United Nations Environmental Policy, they have already declared that the world is going to face 3.2 degree global temperature rise in next 50 years. So to have a sustainable growth in our country and in all the countries, every country will have to move to the renewable energy and the green technology. And the reduction and the targets of pollution levels, situation, but we have to keep on doing this, keep on doing our practices towards the renewable energy and green technology to sustain the effects of this pandemic, to sustain the positive effects on environment of the pandemic situation. So that is learning from whatever the impact of COVID-19 is there on our environment. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atreyi, for this amazing, different lecture about our environment. All of us were panic about our health. No one think about our planet, our human resources for plant resources for our new generations. This is the idea of sustainable development, how to preserve our resources for our next and next and next generations. Yes, you told that about hospital waste and the medical wastes, and this is very dangerous because you as you said, all places to dispose these medical wastes are closed in pandemic crisis. So most of people get to write these wastes in many bad ways. In throw it in land, in land, no in technical or in proper way to write or to get dirt from these wastes. So so thank you so much. And if any participant have a question, please type it now for in chat room, and I would like to present it for you. So no questions. So we have a 5 minutes break till our next speaker, Dr. Hayam Nazief. So thank you so much. And I'm so pleased to have you today with us as an international speaker from India. And Dr. Fatema, if you're still with us, there was a question from in chat room, Dr. Fatema.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Yes, there was one question for you in chat room. You see it?
Yes, ma'am.
From Makaran Dwi. He or she asked you how to flesh out fibrous material from intestine, I think.
Yes, ma'am. I have just replied to him in the chat box.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fatema.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I didn't see it. You may answer in private. Okay, okay. So we welcome Dr. Hayam Nazief. May you can screen here. Good morning, Dr. Hayam, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Professors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to participate in this important webinar. And I would like to thank the NRCH and the JSPS in Cairo for preparing this event. Professor Mohammed Hashim, President of the NRCH, Professor Ibrahim Tantawi, Professor Fokami Nawoko, and of course, my dear friend, Dr. Walaa, Saad, and all members of the organizing and scientific committee for their great efforts. Thank you for having me today. The topic today of my lecture COVID-19 and children's health. There are several known coronaviruses that infect people, and we all know that they cause mild respiratory disease. Two previously identified coronaviruses cause severe illness, SARS and MERS coronaviruses. The sudden acute respiratory syndrome and the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronaviruses, they were identified in 2002 and 2012 respectively, and fortunately they were contained and did not cause a pandemic. COVID-19, yes?
You didn't share your screen? You didn't share your screen yet?
I am sharing my screen.
I didn't see it.
It's not appearing in front of you?
No, not now.
Is it clear now?
Yes, it started to load. It's still loading.
Is it clear, my screen?
No, it's still loading.
It is on my screen.
Yes.
It is on my screen, actually.
Okay. You can enlarge it. You can enlarge it now. I see it.
Okay.
Yes, you can enlarge it. You can make it PowerPoint slides. Yes.
Okay, now?
Yes, very, yes. Now.
Okay, I start from the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the topic today is about COVID-19 and children's health. There are several known coronaviruses that infect people, and we all know that they cause mild respiratory disease. Two previously identified coronaviruses caused severe illness, the SARS and the MERS coronaviruses, the sudden acute respiratory syndrome and the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronaviruses. They were identified in 2002 and 2012 respectively, and fortunately they did not cause a pandemic. COVID-19 is an illness caused by the virus SARS-CoV-2. The most likely ecological reservoir for SARS-CoV-2 are the bats. It is believed that the virus jumped the species barrier to humans through an intermediate animal host, a domestic animal, a food animal, or a wild animal, which has not yet been identified. So what is different about COVID-19, coronavirus COVID-19 disease? Available data suggest that the R0 value of SARS-CoV-2 is in the range of 2.4 to 3.1, and more recent estimates are around 5. What is the R0 value? It is the basic reproduction number it indicates how much the virus is contagious. So each infected person is liable to infect 3, 4, or 5 other individuals. And SARS-CoV-2 lethality stands at 5.7% in adults and 1.3% in children. Asymptomatic carriers are considered the main challenge for containing the outbreak. This is why the whole world had to go into lockdown, not just quarantining the sick, but also quarantining the healthy or the apparently healthy. And so far, no yet available approved medication for the treatment of SARS-CoV-2, and no yet vaccine is available. So how dangerous is COVID-19 for children? The evidence available clearly shows that regardless of age, all people can get infected, and children, although are more resistant to severe illness, serious illness with COVID-19 is possible. Comorbidities are also a significant risk factor for hospitalization, and these include diabetes, chest, heart, and kidney diseases. Death rate, as mentioned before, from COVID-19 in children is about 1.3%. So what about the clinical presentation? Usually, signs and symptoms will develop from 2 to 2 weeks after exposure to infection. And the mean incubation period is about 5 days. The figure on the right is from the CDC, showing the leading signs and symptoms of COVID-19 in children versus adults. And as we can see, the leading signs and symptoms are the same in children as in adults, but they are less severe in nature, and they are also less likely to occur. Some children may present with severe disease, and these chest X-rays and chest CTs are of a pediatric patient presenting with severe illness, and they can show progression of disease. In the CT above, we have the multiple patch-like shadows indicative of the chest infection, and in B, progressing to high-density shadows and the famous ground glass opacities. And in the X-ray, C, brightness of lung decreased and the white lung-like changes appear. And unfortunately, this pediatric patient is still in the ICU. What about psychological effects of COVID-19 on